Ethan Cole could buy anything except trust. As the CEO of a billion-dollar tech company, people rarely saw him. They saw the fortune, the headlines, the lifestyle. So, when his sister set him up on a blind date, he decided to test something. What would happen if he showed up as just Ethan? Gone with the tailored suits and luxury watch. He wore a hoodie, worn jeans, and sneakers that had survived more than one rainy season. He even took the subway. Ava arrived 5 minutes late, cheeks flushed from a cold. She didn't glance at his clothes or hesitate. "Hi," she said warmly, sliding into the booth of the little diner he'd picked. They talked for hours. Ava spoke about working 2 jobs, about her younger sister's dream of college, and about how kindness, even in small doses, could change someone's day. When the check came, Ethan patted his pockets, feigning panic. "Oh no, I think I left my wallet at home." He braced for awkwardness. Instead, Ava smiled, took the bill, and handed her card to the waitress. "I've got it. You don't even know me," Ethan said. Her answer was simple. "Sometimes, you help someone because you can." Ethan walked her to her bus stop that night, the cold air biting at his skin, but something far warmer in his chest. For the first time in years, someone had done something for him without expecting anything in return. And that was priceless. The next morning, Ethan was in his glass-walled corner office, staring at the skyline, when a message lit up his phone. "Hope you found your wallet. Dinner next time? Ava." He smiled, typing back, "Absolutely." That evening, they met at a small Italian restaurant run by an old friend. Ethan dressed simply again, determined to keep his cover. Still, the staff greeted him with unusual warmth, and the owner insisted on sending over a bottle of wine on the house. Ava raised an eyebrow. "You must be more popular than you let on." Ethan shrugged. "Guess I'm just lucky." Over candlelight and pasta, she told him about working double shifts, saving for her sister's tuition, and how she'd learned that generosity wasn't about having extra. It was about caring enough to give anyway. When they left, it was drizzling. Near the corner, an elderly woman shivered under a thin coat. Ava didn't hesitate. She slipped off her own jacket and placed it gently over the woman's shoulders. "Stay warm," she said softly before walking on. Ethan lingered, the moment hitting him harder than he expected. He'd signed million-dollar charity checks, but this, kindness offered without an audience, was something rare. He followed her, a quiet realization taking root. He'd started this pretending to be ordinary, but Ava made him wish he could be worthy of her in every way. It was a Saturday morning at the farmer's market when the first crack appeared. They were sampling fresh bread when a man in a tailored suit jogged up. "Mr. Cole, the board meeting's been moved to Monday." Ethan shot him a sharp look, but Ava's head tilted. "Mr. Cole, it's just a nickname," he said quickly, steering her toward a stall of strawberries. She smiled politely, but the light in her eyes dimmed. They wandered for another hour, but the conversation was different now, careful, measured. Finally, at the edge of the market, Ava stopped. "Ethan, I don't care if you're rich or broke. I care if you're honest." He swallowed. "It's complicated." Her gaze held his for a long beat. "Then I hope someday you'll trust me enough to make it simple." The rest of the walk back was quiet. Ethan replayed her words in his mind, realizing with an ache in his chest that this wasn't just about money. It was about trust. He'd faced hostile investors and courtroom showdowns without flinching. But one look from her, and he felt exposed in a way no headline could match. 2 weeks later, the truth spilled out, not by choice but by accident. He'd offered to drive Ava to lunch. On the way, traffic forced them to detour, right past his company's headquarters. Ava stared at the towering glass building, the words Cole Technologies gleaming in silver across the top. Her head turned slowly. "Cole, as in you?" Ethan exhaled, pulling over. "Yes, I'm the CEO. I didn't tell you because I want to know you like me for me." She looked out the window. "You let me think you were broke. You let me pay for dinner. Do you have any idea how that feels?" "I do now," he said quietly. "But that night, when you offered to pay, it was the first time in years someone did something for me, without expecting anything." Her shoulders softened slightly, but her voice was still guarded. "You should have trusted me sooner." They finished the drive in silence. By the time they reached the cafe, Ethan wasn't sure if this was the beginning of the end or the hardest test of his life. A week passed with no calls, no texts. On Friday evening, Ethan found himself outside the small art studio where Ava taught weekend classes to kids. Through the glass, he saw her kneeling beside a child, showing him how to mix paint, laughter lighting up her face. When the class ended, she stepped outside, startled to see him. "I came to apologize," he said. "Not for being wealthy, but for thinking I had to hide it to be worth your time." "And now?" she asked, folding her arms. "Now I know money doesn't make me rich. People like you do." He handed her an envelope. Inside was a scholarship fund in her sister's name, covering her entire college tuition. Ava's eyes widened. "Ethan, no strings," he said. "You taught me that real kindness isn't a transaction. It's a gift." Her lips curved into a slow smile. "You know, you could have just bought me dinner again." They both laughed, the tension melting. And for the first time in weeks, Ethan felt lighter. Months later, they returned to the same diner where it all began. The waitress recognized them instantly. "Same booth?" she asked. As they sat down, Ethan reached for the bill before the food even arrived. Ava smirked. "Afraid I'll beat you to it again?" "Maybe," he teased, "but I've learned my lesson. Dinner's on me, forever, if you'll let it be." Her eyes softened. "Forever's a big word, Mr. Cole." He took her hand. "So, is love." The rain tapped against the windows just like that first night. Only this time, there were no pretenses, no masks, just two people who had chosen each other, not for status or money, but for something that couldn't be bought. When they left, Ethan held the door for her, the neon sign flickering behind them. In the glow of the streetlight, Ava squeezed his hand. "You know," she said, "you're still the guy in the hoodie to me." "And you," he replied, "are still the woman who made a millionaire feel like the richest man alive." They walked into the night, not caring about the drizzle, their laughter mingling with the sound of the city. A reminder that the greatest fortunes aren't kept in banks, but in hearts.